My water broke in the elevator. It was like a movie. The doors to the elevator open and the guy who works at our front desk is standing there. And he's like, what's going on? I'm like, I didn't pee. My water broke. He's like, do I need to call an ambulance? I'm like, oh my gosh.
All right. Welcome to the show, ladies. Today is going to be a fun episode. I am interviewing Lauren Leonard from Florida. She's an ER nurse, a mental health advocate, and a former Miami Dolphins and Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. How cool. And she is a first-time mom who took the pain-free birth course and has an incredible story to share with us today of her supernatural birth that I just am dying for you guys to hear. So welcome to the podcast, Lauren.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, man. I had to start recording because we just were hitting it off, and I'm like, I have to capture this.
We're starting to chat. You're like, wait.
Let me hit record because this is too good. Let's start off with the DM that you sent me right after giving birth. I think that is actually just so perfect.
Yeah. So I gave birth this past fall, and literally the next morning, right? It was a crazy day. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's here. I'm all excited. The next day, I'm like, I have to message Karen. Like, I have to tell her about this. Like, oh, it was amazing. I had such an incredible birth experience. And, you know, if you had asked me growing up, totally opposite of what I would have thought. So I was like, I have to tell her about it. So,
yes, I'll maybe have you read it in a bit. But what was your experience growing up? Like, were you excited to be a mom? Did you want to have babies? Were you natural minded? What was your mentality with like natural childbirth?
Oh my gosh, buckle up because this is wild. So I was actually born in an ambulance, wild enough, to a mom who wanted nothing to do with a natural birth. She wanted all the drugs, like numb me up, I don't care. And so I'd heard this story over and over again growing up, you know, like it was very traumatic for her. It was in the back of an ambulance. There was no, you know, nobody like calmly guiding her. And my dad was in the front seat. They didn't even let him sit in the back. I don't know how it went back then, but it was just a very traumatic experience for her. So I grew up thinking drugs is the only way because that was horrible. You never want to go through that. And I always knew I wanted to be a mom. And as soon as my husband and I got married, we were married and trying for years before it happened for us. Kind of went all the routes. And, you know, the longer you go through that and the longer you want to get pregnant and have a family, the more you're like, okay, God, I know you're doing something through this journey. But like, I want a baby. I want to grow a family. Like I think about, you know, I think it's easy when you're in this stage to think about having a baby. But I was like, I want a whole family. Like I want to go to, you know, I want to go on to the beach with them and play beach game. You know, I just had all these visions of having a family. And so just my heart yearned for that. I really, really wanted it. And we tried for 4 years. So 4 years, finally get pregnant. And I'm like, all right, when can I have the drugs? What time? Like, how long do I have to wait into this pregnancy? Like 7 months, we could start talking.
Hook me up to the
numb me up. Yeah, like numb me up. I'm ready. And but then by the time I finally got pregnant, and you know, we were in that. I was in a place where I was I wouldn't say super crunchy, but I was like, I'm starting to explore. And so there was a girl at my work, and I had told her, you know, kind of how I was raised in wanting to not feel anything.
Yeah.
And her mom was a doula, and she was saying, you should really like just think about it. Just think about it. I'm like, are you crazy? I have heard for 30 years what a misery that was. There's no way. And, you know, she began just kind of putting that bug in my ear. And, you know, through months and months, when she first started, I wasn't pregnant yet, but through months and months, and after we finally got pregnant, I was like, okay, I think maybe I want to discover this. And that's actually, I found your Instagram account and just kind of learn more about all of this and what a natural birth looks like and why people want to do it. In my mind, I'm like, why would anyone want to go through that? And so then I found your account and I was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to.
I love that when women come from like the complete side, the extreme of like, why would anyone have a natural childbirth? That sounds horrible to like all in. And it's such a great journey. It's such a fun, like what a big transition to make. What were some of the things that really helped you like convince you that this is worth doing naturally? Because that's a big decision.
Yeah, it's a big decision and it's such a big shift when you've spent 30 years being so anti that. And especially because I didn't my mom is like my best friend, but she's like, you're crazy. For what reason? She's like, you don't get an award, you don't get a medal. Like, why would you want to do that? And just the more I learned about our bodies were literally made to do this. Like, we were created to bring creation into the world. Like, that is the most wild biblical concept when you really stop to think about what our bodies can do.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like maybe there's something to that.
Maybe there's something here I don't know.
Maybe people didn't always have these epidurals, and people didn't always have, and no hate against it, but I was like, there's something really empowering when you think about that. And I said, if there's a way to do this potentially pain-free or less pain than what I had heard my whole life, I'm like, I think I could probably do this. So my husband was all on board with it. He was like, whatever you want to do, I'm not the one pushing this baby out. So whatever you want to do, I'll be all in with you. And so I just began learning, and I watched so many of your birth stories and so many of the amazing stories that you have on your Instagram. And I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. Like, this is,
Yes.
And another thing that I thought of is, being a nurse, I knew that I wanted to do this in the hospital. The hospitals don't scare me. That was never like, I was very kind of used to that environment. So I said, if I'm going to do this at the hospital, I think about having an epidural and having my legs up and like push, 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 push. I'm like, do I want that? Or do I want this beautiful, serene environment that I had control of, that I could have this intimacy with my husband and with the father, and like be able to walk through this in like a calm, cool, collected way and do exactly what my body was designed to do. And I was like, okay, I think I can drink the Kool-Aid. I think I can do this.
You are a nurse. Mom has a traumatic natural birth in an emergency, EMS ambulance.
Yeah.
You've heard that story your whole life. And here you are taking the pain for birth course, considering a home birth.
Well, a hospital birth, but a natural birth. Real birth,
okay.
Natural birth. Yeah.
Now, did you end up doing the hospital birth, or was it a home birth?
Yeah, we did. So I found, this was kind of part of the figuring out the birth plan, is I found a midwifery practice down here that does hospital water births. And I was like, okay, this is like a combination of all the things that are perfect for me,
Yeah.
And so I knew I wanted, or I was pretty positive I wanted to be in the hospital. I live downtown. I live in a city. There's like bridges between me and the hospital. I was like, I don't know. I wasn't totally sure about that. And I said, if I'm going to do a hospital birth, like, I want to do it as natural as possible. And so when I found this practice that is like amazing, if anyone is in the South Florida area, I will shout them out. They're absolutely incredible. And I had an amazing experience. So it was a hospital water birth.
Okay, that's so great. And that's not available in most areas. That was actually what made me decide to actually finally choose home birth. Because because I really wanted a water birth. But it wasn't allowed in my area. And so great that was available for you. I mean, and now I love home birth, but if you can find what you need that makes you feel safe, that's where you go. So what made you really desire a water birth?
I love hot tubs and baths and all that. It's just like very like much makes me relax. And I'm a super go person. I'm always in the go. I'm always doing something. I'm always busy. And so if I ever just stop and sit in a hot tub or sit in a bath, like for like a second, I feel like, okay, I can breathe. Mm-hmm. So I sat there. I was like, okay, if that's my place where I can chill for a second, I'm going to see if I can get in that mindset and give birth that way.
You know that soothes you. You know that helps.
Yeah.
Tell us about the time in your pregnancy with your mom and what God did for you in that season. You said you went through a really difficult season with your mom and pregnancy. Yeah.
So my mom last year had a massive heart attack, and we all flew down. We really thought that it was the end. They told us kind of to say our goodbyes, and she was eventually airlifted to another hospital where she was put on the heart transplant list. And so she was on cardiac life support, and we really didn't know every day if she was even going to make it to transplant. They were having a hard time finding a match for her. And every day we kind of woke up thinking, this literally could be the last. She had coded countless times. They had brought her back countless times. And so every day that we got with her was such a gift. And in the middle of all of that, and in the middle of 4 years of trying, we find out we're pregnant. And It was like such a miracle story too, because it ended up happening kind of naturally. And it was beyond all odds. And so we were just beside ourselves. And it was something that I was able to go to my mom and tell her. And she's like, I have to keep fighting.
Oh.
It was amazing. And she had other grandkids that were on the way at the same time. And so it was amazing. But so in that time, because we had seen fertility specialists and stuff, we were able to get an early ultrasound. And so I'd been with my mom several hours away from home, and my husband and I are doing long distance and early pregnancy. And, he's trying to soothe me as I'm throwing up like over the phone. I mean, it was just like, it was total chaos. So as I tell my mom, I said, Mom, I'm leaving for 18 hours to get our ultrasound. Like, you cannot get a heart for 18 hours. I'm leaving, spending the night with my husband, waking up in the morning, getting the ultrasound, will be right back to your bedside. So I leave the hospital, I drive a couple hours home, and as soon as I get home, I get the call. She said, I'm getting a heart in the morning. And I'm like, the one morning I'm not there. And it turned out to be the most amazing God thing, because we were able to see 2 heartbeats that we really never knew if they were going to be earthside together on the same morning. It was just, you couldn't write that. You couldn't write years of walking through trying to get pregnant and our trying to conceive journey to end up confirming that on the same day that my biggest cheerleader in trying to get pregnant gets a heart too. It was amazing.
Oh, that's beautiful. Like the things that God does, like just to nudge us and remind us of his love. And wow.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I couldn't write that. Like,
yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell us about your birth experience and what it was like going into labor and what happened.
So I was very active throughout my pregnancy, and I was at the gym in the morning, kind of had a normal day. I was 37 weeks in one day. Was at the gym, did my normal routine, went to the chiropractor, came home, and through the evening, I was getting ready to make dinner for my husband. I get into the elevator to take the dogs out, and I'm in the elevator, and I'm like, am I peeing? What's going on? My water broke in the elevator. It was like, yes, the doors to the elevator open, and the guy who works at our front desk is standing there, and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, I didn't pee. My water broke. He's like, do I need to call an ambulance? I'm like, oh my gosh.
You're like, no, this is my mom's birth story.
I'm like, no, we're not starting this like that.
It happened that way for now.
Totally. It totally did. And like after that long, you're kind of thinking like, okay, how is this going to go down? Like, am I going to go 41 weeks? Like, are we going to be like in for a check? How's this going to work? And it was like, so like the movies.
Let me see if I can avoid the whole induction.
Yes, I'm so grateful. And honestly, I felt so great. Like being 37 weeks, they hear sometimes people get uncomfortable. Like I never really got uncomfortable. I was just like, the Lord totally had it under control. So I get upstairs and I'm like, okay, we trained for this. Like we know, like we're not getting our heart rate up. We are not getting excited. We are just going to stay calm, cool, collected. And so
love it.
I was really able to just kind of bring that down. And, like you remember Sex in the City when her water breaks and she's like, ah! And I'm like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're just going to stay relaxed. Yeah. So I called the practice, and actually the OB was on. So there's the OB who runs all the midwives in the practice. And she was on. She's like, so how do you feel? I'm like, good. She's like, and do you feel anything? I'm like, no. She's like, no cramping. No contractions. No. And she's like, okay, go to bed.
Nice.
I was like,
she didn't make her come in for an induction.
No. She's like, go to sleep. I'm like, seriously?
I love that OB.
She's amazing. She is, oh, I couldn't say enough wonderful things about her. She is so incredible. And she's so just like, so natural minded. Like, I feel like she would take your course and she'd be like, yes, go girl. That's what I'm talking about. So she's like, okay, go to bed. And she, she said like, was there anything in the fluids? What color? She checked all those things, of course, but and she said, okay, go to bed. So my husband and I had like the most relaxing evening, had some tea, went to bed. I got a full night's sleep. I woke up at about 5 o'clock in the morning. I was checking in with her every little bit, but I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, took a shower. I blow dried my hair. I took my birth ball out onto the patio. I watched the sunrise. We have got like a little sunrise view. Watched the sunrise. I listened to worship music. I did a yoga session. Like it was like I could not have. It was ridiculous.
Get out.
It was ridiculous.
Okay, like what's the alternative that probably 80 or 90% of moms experience in our hospital system is, oh, you got to come in right now.
Yep.
She's up all night getting hooked up, plugged up to monitors. They're giving her Pitocin. They're dilating her with Cervidil or fully filled. They go right into induction because your water breaks. We don't want an infection.
Yep.
And she doesn't get any sleep. She's being poked and prodded all night long.
Yep.
And then labor takes even longer because this is now, we're trying to manage you and force labor to happen.
Exactly.
And, oh my gosh, what you did was so perfect. Every woman could experience that.
Yes.
The premature rupture of membranes is what she had at 37 weeks. So, oh my gosh, that makes my heart so happy.
It was, and the whole time I like heard you in my ear, like just cheer. It was just, I could not have played out a better morning. It was incredible. And truly, like, after hearing your voice, like on the Stairmaster for my whole pregnancy, I was like, I know. She's like, this is right. This is great. You know?
You're right. So awesome. I love it. Women said that. They're like, I heard your voice in labor. Like,
oh, I totally did.
It was relaxing.
Oh, it was. It was so relaxing. So yeah, that was probably about 7 o'clock. I was like, okay, that was definitely a contraction. And, so I'm texting my doula and, chatting with the midwife, and she was like, okay, how far apart are they? And at that time they were like super inconsistent. About 7:45, maybe 8 o'clock. I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure they're getting a little more, they were maybe five to 7 minutes apart. She's like, okay, you're progressing. Like, this is great.
And when did your water break the day before?
7 p.m., 7:09 p.m.
So you're 12 hours in, your contractions are just starting.
Yep.
And that, ladies, is totally normal.
Yes.
Did they ever say like, oh, you have to deliver within 24 hours?
So and I'm so glad you asked that, because I was talking to the OB the night before and I was like, okay, like doctors, we're like on the timeline, right? Like this has to happen within 24 hours. She goes, take the timeline out of your mind. We're going to let your body do what your body's going to do. And you're going to do this. I'm telling you, she is amazing. She's like, your body's going to do this. We are not thinking about a timeline. You relax. I'm telling you. All of them are like that. Every midwife in this practice, the OB, I do not have enough wonderful things to say about them. I felt so empowered by this practice. And I think having your midwives and your OB so believe that you can do this, it was just, and the whole time too, like, if anything, ladies, like, find a practice that looks at you and says, you can do this.
Yeah.
Like, you can do this. Yeah. There is no and we know things need to be adjusted sometimes, but like, she looked and she's like, no, you can. And I was like, yes, I can.
That is absolutely true. I tell everyone all the time, like, your biggest risk factor is the provider you choose.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
100%. Like, that, like, your birth story would have gone completely different if you were with a different provider. I guarantee.
Absolutely. I would. Well, you were so right. I would have been in the hospital all night, like, having everything hooked up, but monitor. I mean, the whole 9 yards. And yeah, absolutely.
So we shout out to the doctors and midwives. You can say the name because, like, give credit where credit is due. They get so much slack that when we find the unicorn OBs or the amazing midwives, like we can talk about them too. So I absolutely love it. What happened after labor began? You started realizing, they're like 5 or 6 minutes apart. When did you go to the hospital?
Yeah. So just to go back to, it's Dr. Skeet's office at Serene Health in Fort Lauderdale. And so when I called her by this time, big shout out, unashamed plug. I had called her and she said, okay, are you breathing through these contractions? Like, she's coaching me like a doula. This is Ashley, the midwife. And she's like, okay, you breathe through them. You're doing great. Just stay relaxed. And she said, we can wait a little bit longer. And if they progress from 7 minutes to 5 minutes pretty quick, or 5 minutes to 3 minutes pretty quick, she's like, okay, then we'll talk about coming in. And so I had a big old breakfast at home. They're encouraging me to fuel my body, eat what you need to eat, have a big breakfast. And I told my husband at this point, I was like, we're going to eat, like, maybe we'll go out to, he's like, we are not going out to eat. We were eating right here because you are not giving birth outside the hospital. I am not delivering this baby. We're eating right here at the hospital. Yeah. So I had a big breakfast here, and then we got in the car, and this is where like I just give you so like obviously during actual labor and pushing and all this stuff, the pain-free birth course is invaluable. But also like when the hiccups happen and when things don't go according to plan, like up until this point, it was kind of a fairy tale. Like I was like, okay, this is ridiculous, Lord. Like, thank you so much. Like, I'm beyond grateful that this is my story so far. But when you get to things that aren't perfect, you're like, okay, how am I going to handle them? And that's when your voice was really in my head of like, you know, when I remember now it's been like several months I've taken the course, but you're talking about like some people stall when they get to the hospital with different things. I'm like, I'm not going to do that because no matter what goes wrong, I'm staying in labor land. And it was here at my house that I kind of was like, okay, I'm understanding what this labor land thing is all about. Yeah. We get to the car, we get stopped by the bridge. And at this point, my contractions were like 2.5 minutes apart. And we're right down the street from the hospital. But we get there and we get stuck by the bridge on the way to the hospital. And my husband's like, you're not going to have the baby in the car, are you? Like, we're going to, oh my God, it's going to be fine. Relax. When we get to the hospital, there was no parking in the place where they told us to park. We get in, they're taking us in. There's, you know, a line of people, the registration, I mean, like all the things, you know, and by the time we get back there, again, more things. They poked me like 50 times for an IV, and they hooked me up to the monitor that was like really tight on my belly. And there was construction on the floor above us, so I could hear a jackhammer like every so often. I mean, it was like one thing after another. But I just remember sitting there and I was like, okay, we trained for this. Like, this is our race. This is go time. And I have the choice to sit here and listen to the jackhammer and be annoyed by the nursing students that are poking me, or annoyed that this monitor is so tight on me and all this. Or I have the choice to say, we waited so long for this. This is a miracle in motion. And I'm going to sit in this, and I'm going to be in, I like get teary-eyed just talking about it, because it was in those moments that I felt the most intimacy with my husband and with our Heavenly Father that I have ever experienced. And this was like just the beginning of it, right? Like we're not in pushing, I'm not in the water yet, I'm not anything. And I'm sitting there making the conscious decision to say, no, I'm going to live in this bliss. I don't care what's happening out there. And shout out to our OB again, and our midwife, who was like, she's fine, he's fine, baby's fine, get her off these monitors, we're getting in the water. Like, you know, she said they were such incredible advocates to make that birth story happen, to kind of salvage what had just kind of gone awry. And, you know, just really allowed me to kind of stay in that moment. So up until that point, you know, things got a little crazy, but then they were able to get me in the water.
So, and you really learned how to stay grounded and in peace in labor land and not allow all those distractions to.
Yes. I'm even going back in your course to when you took us through that like meditation. I just remember sitting there saying like, okay, I'm just going to breathe. I'm staying right in this. The J breaths that you talked about, I had practiced 8,000 of those on the birth ball. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. I cannot thank you enough. Even if the birth story ended right there, like even before all the pushing and all that stuff, just getting to that point, your course taught me what was going on with my body. Just knowing that the muscles contract and then your body is literally pushing the baby out. I knew in every stage what was happening, what I was feeling. And that took away the fear. I didn't have to be afraid of what was going on because you taught me what was happening inside my body. I knew what I was feeling and what I was experiencing because I had already been prefaced on it. We're right on track. We are good.
I love it. That's so true. Because when you understand what your body's doing, it takes away the fear. Exactly like you said. And we can then partner with our body and be in awe of our body and grateful for every sensation, even the painful ones, because it's all good. It's all unto a purpose. It's all helping us birth our baby. That's just amazing. So you must have been in active labor going into transition at this point when they put you in your room. What happened next?
So things were getting a little bit more intense. And like you said, like I was in the mindset of like, I'm so thankful because we're getting closer. Like what, this is great. Like, this is awesome. This is intense. And I can say it was truly pain-free. It was truly pain-free. It was intense.
Yeah.
But I was like, as the intensity increases, we're getting closer. And my little man is on the way. This is awesome.
I love it. This is the attitude and the mindset that allows that to happen. I just can see you being in awe of your body, being so grateful for every surge. After 4 years of infertility, it's like, how can we not be so in awe of what is happening and grateful and appreciating that moment and having the pain-free birth that you've been praying for? Like, and I saw you ladies here, this is the first time mom here, pain-free birth is possible.
So possible.
The joy, like, tell us about that moment that happened with you and your husband. And like,
oh my gosh. Okay. Well, and there were a few, like my doula was so amazing at taking videos and all that stuff because the midwives had it on lockdown. Like they were amazing. So my doula's over there, like, you got it, helping me here and there. She was incredible. And she would like push in one area and allow my husband to be like right here with me. And so as she was like kind of handling all this stuff with my body,
the hip squeeze.
Yeah, the hip squeeze and all that. Like she had that she's incredible. We just had the best birth team. All my South Florida ladies, call me. I'll tell you all the good ones. And so she was handling kind of all the physical stuff, the essential oils and all the things. And so it allowed my husband to just be like right with me. And so every surge, I'm staring like deep into my husband's soul and he is praying over me. And the two of us are like, the greater the intensity of what I was feeling, the more intently I was staring into his eyes. And the more he's looking at me with like the most, like, he's in awe of what's going on. He's in awe of what I'm experiencing. And that, like, he's like, my wife, the woman I love is like going to go through this pain. And he saw me in that, not in pain, but in like ecstasy with him. For lack of a better word, like the two of us were just so one and so connected with the Father as like worship music is playing and he is praying deep into my eye. I'm telling you, it was euphoric. It was just,
these are not words that most women use to describe
transition.
They're active labor, like something different happened here.
And there was something divine in that room. And I think back now, obviously not in the moment, but I think back now to like how my mom described that. And I was like, I had the opposite, like truly the opposite experience. It was so like amazing for our relationship and so amazing for my relationship with the Lord.
Oh man, and that's what it should be. That's what birth can be, is a transformational event, not something we have to suffer through. Like, it can be so much better than most women are told.
Yeah. So beautiful.
I just absolutely love the way you described your surrender in this with the intimacy and the euphoria you experienced with your husband. What was pushing like for you?
Yeah. So right after that, like kind of, I just remember that moment because I have it on video. So after that, we got into the tub and getting into the tub, I was like, this is awesome. I got all the stupid monitors off me and all that. And I was able to walk over, get into the warm tub. And I was like, oh, if it wasn't good before, like, okay, now this is great. Like now this is just like, and I'm sitting there and, my husband I'm kind of laying over the tub. And my husband's looking at me and we have all the lights down. The blinds are closed. We have this like stupid little moon light thing that we got from Amazon that's just like made the room like, oh, just like so beautiful. And the essential oils are going and the music is playing and the whole birth team is there and everybody's just like calm and collected and cool. And it was just so peaceful. And I'm at the point where I'm looking at my husband and I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like I'm doing nothing. I'm like laying over the tub and like I feel my body like on every contraction. And I'm like, this is what she means by like, I'm not pushing. Like, this is what she was talking about. And again, like, as you had talked about the muscles like pushing your baby out, I'm like, I feel that.
Yeah.
And I know that's
strong, huh?
strong and it's intense, but I was like, I know where I'm at in this. And I know my body is doing exactly what it is that it's supposed to do because I had learned it before. It was just like everything you said would happen, happened like to a T. And so I'm sitting there and, you know, it's intense. Like I'm shaking during the contractions. I don't want to make this out to be a total walk in the park, but it was a beautiful, difficult. It was an amazing, tough. Like however you can put those two words together, it was intense, but it was the most incredible, euphoric, intense I've ever experienced.
Yeah. And when you give yourself over to that intensity without trying to control it, that's when you release all those endorphins, all those oxytocin hormones that just create that euphoria. And it's not just about the pain. And this is what I tell women all the time. Like, I don't want you focused on the pain because honestly, the more you focus on it, the more you're going to experience of it. Anything you focus on, you empower. But when you're just lost in the moment, and you're so in awe of your body and so grateful, exactly like what you were doing, like your mindset truly set you up for this experience because you just went all in. And that's what releases those surges of hormones that block pain, that create euphoria and ecstasy. And then you're just like swimming in this bath of beautiful birth hormones.
Yes.
So good. And your body is doing this really hard work over here.
Totally.
You don't have to control it. You don't have to do anything. Just let it happen.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I learned a lot about my relationship with God during all of this too, because that kind of surrender, like once you experience that kind of surrender, it's changed my whole life after that. Because as a Christian, I mean, I've been walking with the Lord now for quite some time and I have a very strong relationship with him. But once you experience this, that kind of like true surrender is something you can't like forget. And that is something when you begin carrying that into your everyday life and you live in full surrender, it's like, if I can fully surrender at a time that potentially I could have had the most pain I've ever experienced that people like talk about, if I can fully surrender and the Lord can like put a hard stop on that pain, why am I not living in that every day? Why am I not living in that absolute surrender every single day? That's like the most raw surrender you can ever have. I'm like, I want that every single day. I want that kind of intimacy with the Father every single day. So I want to live that way. So birth taught me more than, you know, just getting through the contractions or through the surges or birthing him. It taught me about my future relationship with the Lord and what I want to live in every day and what I want to teach my son.
Yes. Like how to not live in the struggle, but live in the surrender.
Exactly.
And that it's so true. Like birth marks you.
Yeah.
It does something to you on the inside that it changes you forever. Mm-hmm. And that lesson is such a powerful one. Tell us more about that, what that meant for you, like to not have to like push and struggle and be strong enough. Like I've talked about this before, but I would love to hear your perspective on this. Like the difference between like having to work up being really strong and pushing through something really hard, which is what most of us women are taught to do versus this art of surrender.
Yeah. I think you're very right. So many of us are taught to do that in anything in life, right? Like women are so much stronger than men. Like we are so much stronger. Like we just are. And like so many times, and especially as a wife, I'm like, I got this, honey. Like I will help you. I live in a submission to my husband. Yes. But also like, I got this handled. I got the laundry. I got the groceries. Like I will handle this. Like you go to work, you do that. I've got all of the rest of it. And like, it's a beautiful thing, but we're so like, we've got this. I can do this. I can handle this. Like you handle the work stuff and everything else I will handle at home. And we tend to take that on. And especially even with, you know, our friends or the women around us. And like, we often take care of our friends and we're often taking care of the people around us, our family members, our loved ones. And this is a moment that kind of said to me, you're done doing. We're not doing, we're being. Yes. We're done doing. It's time to be. And I felt the Lord so clearly say, just be with me. I will handle this. Just be with me. And I remember like laying over the tub like this, with all the things that set the mood, the lights and the music like we talked about. And I remember just sitting over there and my husband is like rubbing my back and my arms. And I sat there and I was like, I'm just being with God. I'm just being with my husband. I'm just being in this moment. And there's nothing more that I have to do. There's nothing more. I don't need to take care of anyone or anything else because the Lord's taking care of me.
What a life lesson to carry with you.
Yeah.
Birth changes you in the most beautiful ways when we let it. And this is such an incredible testimony of exactly that.
Yeah.
So in these moments of surrender, like I can just feel the power of that. Like I feel like I was there. It's so powerful. I don't know words. What was it that you're feeling as these surges are coming, these powerful pushing contractions, and you're in this place of pure intimacy and euphoria? What was it like in the birth of your baby and the fullness of holding this kind of power in your body?
Yeah. I mean, at that moment, you're like Laborland almost doesn't describe it. Like being on another, I was like on Mars. Like I was on it. And I remember I did learn something like right at the end that I would do differently for my next birth. I remember laying over the tub and he's coming. I was on my knees and he kept coming like down and then back up and down and then back up and down and then back up. And so I felt like I was making a lot of progress during the contraction and kind of like, okay, Lauren, like I was intense. I remember holding my husband's hand, like shaking through it, but like doing my best to allow this to relax. So I was like, okay, if I can be tense here, I can relax here. And I think next time I would try to relax everything a little bit more. But I remember either the midwife or the doula, one of them kept saying, and I don't know which one it was, kept saying, you're doing this. You are doing this, Lauren. And I remember being like, yeah, we are doing this. And so it was like Laborland mixed with like intensity, mixed with like empowerment. And it was just like all the most beautiful things you could think of.
Everything, yeah.
It was everything. So anyways, we're getting right to the point where he's, about to come out. And he kept coming down and going back up and going down and coming back up. And I could feel him. Like they're like, reach down. Do you feel his head? I'm like, I do. But then the contraction would stop. There would be however long in between contractions and he'd go back up. And I remember the OB saying, because she was there too, I had the OB and the midwife there. And she said, he's going to get to a point of no return. Just let your body do it. Like he's going to get to a point of no return, like where he's, his head is so far down. Just do it. And this is the part that I would definitely do differently. I remember leaning over, looking at the doors over here. My husband is right here. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I could push him out. Pretty sure I could do it. And in my head, I'm like, I don't think I should, but like, I'm pretty sure I could. Like at this point, and I kind of gave it like one good push myself, like not letting my body do it. I gave it one good push and he was like, whoosh! Like he came flying out. So like I lived with the repercussions of that after. And like it was, I did. Yeah. I did. And so I was like,
go so slow.
Go slow. But I also didn't realize like how kind of easy it would have been to push him out. Like it was hard. Don't get me wrong. It was very intense, but I was like, I think if I give him one good push, I could probably get him out. And like out he flew.
He was crowning at the perineum. Like, the pushing is truly effective. But when you're pushing when baby's at a high station and he's nowhere near the perineum, that's when it's like not a good idea.
I could feel like if this was his head, I could feel like even the curve of his head. So he was very much like
very much a crown.
Yeah. Seeing like some of your videos where like the head comes out and then they wait and then the next contraction, so like that's probably what I should have waited for. So hindsight's 2020. So if anyone's listening, like you're going to get to a point and you're feeling so empowered and you're like, I am such a like tough chick and like I'm totally surrendered. Well, maybe that too.
Which is I was like, okay too.
Totally. But I was like, I think I probably could. And then, and then I pushed. So I live with the repercussions of that, which is, hindsight's 2020.
You
But
learned.
next
You
time,
always learn,
yeah, next time I'll definitely be like, because I made it to the very much to the end in total surrenders. I was like, next time I'm gonna wait really and let him or her come out slowly.
Oh man, how did you feel right after the birth?
Oh, they like put him through my legs, and I have this video, and I go like this, and I like hold him, and I look back at my husband like, like, did you just see that? Did you see what just happened? And it's like, it was so cool. Like, we have the best pictures, the best videos. He was on my chest, and it took him a hot minute to start crying and all that. And so I'm like holding him, and I'm like, is he okay? Like, are we good? Like, it was just, and so, yeah, just like total disbelief and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we just did that. I can't believe this is real. I can't believe he's here. I can't believe I literally had a pain-free birth. Like, it was all the things.
Oh my gosh. I love what you said. I just have to read this quote in one of your notes. You go, I remember looking into my husband's eyes and awe and thinking, there's no way labor is this good.
Oh, I think we probably have it on a video. There was one where I was like, this is 8 centimeters, probably before I got into the water. And I looked at him and I was like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. He's like, are you nuts? Like, you're like what's going on?
My wife on drugs?
Yeah, like, are you sure you didn't put anything in her? Like, you didn't give her anything?
It's but I was just like, drugs your brain has.
Yes. The music is playing, and I just remember looking at him. I'm like, this is the most beautiful thing. And then I was in the tub. I'll have to send you these videos. I may have sent them, I don't know, but
yes,
I was literally
please,
like,
I will put them in the show notes.
I was like over the tub, and I was looking at him, and I was just like, there's no way that everything I had heard about birth, not even just from my mom, but from like everybody, from society, from everyone that says like it's awful. I'm like, there's no way this is what they were talking about. That's awful. This is amazing. Like, this is incredible.
Oh, I love this so much. It's like, how good can it be? That's like what I started asking after my first or second or third. I was like, how good can it be? And women will come to me after having an incredible euphoric or pain-free birth, and I was like, but I don't, now what do I do? And I'm like, well, how good can it be? Like, how can it be even better? What else do you want to dream up? Like, who says there's a limit? Like,
I love that. I love it. So good.
Yes, it's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. This story is just lighting a fire in me all over again. I love it so much.
I'm so glad. And honestly, like, I have you to thank, and not only you, but your husband too. Like, please give him my heartfelt thank you, because my husband is very, very reserved. He's a very reserved guy. He's a business guy, so he's kind of task oriented. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how is he going to do in birth? And we wanted to kind of do all the classes. Like, I wanted him to be hands-on. And so we had scheduled a full weekend worth of classes with the hospital. And it was supposed to be like several weeks. And we're like getting ready for the first one. And a hurricane hit Florida at the weekend that it was supposed to happen. And so they canceled that class. Well, they canceled the series of classes. So they never paid. They were like, well, if you don't do the first one, you can't do the rest of them. So they were like, okay, well, you can come into the next one. I'm like, okay, well, that's after my baby's born. So that's not going to work. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like, he's going to go into this blind. So that's when we did the partner course. And I will be eternally grateful for that, because he felt confident. He learned what to do, what to say. Like, he connected with your husband on so many things of like, yeah, okay, I feel that way too. Or like, yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And so he felt so much more comfortable from hearing it from like a man's perspective and what that was going to look like and where he should step up. And so, yeah, big thank you to both of you.
And the fact that he was able to just connect with you so deeply in those moments and hold space for your surrender, that is like the whole reason I created that course. I wanted partners to have the capacity to stand in their strength and allow their women to fully let go and surrender. Because that is truly the beauty of the masculine and the feminine partnering together. When a man can hold that confidence and strength, not having to do anything, just in presence, in his devotion to his woman. And it gave you so much safety to truly let go. And that's part of what makes that euphoric experience possible. Like, we only can surrender when we feel that safe. So that just warms my heart so much. Thank you for sharing it.
Absolutely. And you know what? To even take this one step further, like that idea and that whole concept that we learned, we've taken that into parenthood as well. So he's allowed me to feel so strong in my motherhood and so strong in what it means to be a mom because he was able to support me in that way. I've seen the things that he learned in that carry into parenthood and how he supports me as a wife and as a mom. And like that is, I mean, it's incredible because it wasn't something that stopped then. It wasn't something that we learned for birth and then that was it. He's allowed that to be something that we've carried now into the last 6 months.
Wow. I love that. Because it's like, yeah, when you know, like your wife has an intuition and you can trust it. And I think there's something that happens and changes in a man when he sees his woman give birth in power. Yeah. There's like an awe and a reverence of like, wow, like I just witnessed something so powerful and yet so feminine that there's like a whole nother level of respect and awe that the masculine has.
Absolutely.
That's so incredible.
And I'll tell you, like, even one more thing in that femininity, like you have this amazing birth. I'm like on another planet. Like, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe we were able to do this. You know, the next day you're standing in the bathroom with your belly still big, bleeding from places you've never bled before, uncomfortable, trying to take care of a baby. And that, him looking at me and empowering that femininity, I'm like, no, this is awesome. This is hard and this sucks. But that masculinity was able to channel my femininity and continue that empowering feeling. Even when I was like into my postpartum, at the place that I felt like the least beautiful feminine in my entire life, there's no amount of makeup or doing your hair or you're just wearing a cute robe. You're just a hot mess. You're just a hot mess. And so if your husband, yes,
it's okay. You'll get
totally,
and it'll all shape, but just embrace the mess.
Yeah. And so he was just able to like continue that like empowerment into that time. And it was just beautiful. It was beautiful.
I love that. Tell us, you created a health company called Outlast Audio. Tell us a bit about this company and what inspired it.
Yeah. So Outlast Audio is a mental health technology company, and essentially it's designed to bridge the gap in mental health support. So postpartum, this has been I've seen the huge need for it. And what we want to do is have something where people can pick up their phones and have help right away. There's no waiting for a callback. There's no waiting for an appointment. Because if you are sitting somewhere and you're having a moment of anxiety, a moment of depression, a moment of fear, a moment of loneliness, I don't have till next Tuesday at my appointment to wait. Like, I need something now. And so what we've done is contracted licensed mental health professionals from across the country to create strategies, exercises, breath work, meditations, all of these things that they would use and use their clinical expertise to help somebody get through their moment of need. We've taken all of those, turned them into audio format, and put custom crafted music to them. So each entry is between 3 and 4 minutes. And so if you're having a moment, you have something that you can pick up. You can go to our library. There's over 200 recordings. You can go to our library and you can get help from a professional, pre-recorded. You never talk to anybody, but you can log in and you can get the help under 12 different categories of anything that you're looking for. And so postpartum, this was key for me because you get into these moments of, and when we got home, our son stopped breathing and we had to do CPR. It was like a whole thing. And so after that, I experienced a lot of fear. I was nervous I was going to fall into postpartum anxiety or postpartum depression. And so this resource was something that anytime I began to feel something, I knew that I had that help right there. The making of this started 4 years ago. And so this has been a long time in the making, but being postpartum and walking through this with so many of my friends that have experienced postpartum anxiety and depression, I really am so passionate about this getting to postpartum mothers, that they have something that they can utilize in the moments where it's 3:00 in the morning and they're trying to nurse their baby. They have had no sleep. They're trying to be a wife and trying to be a mom and trying to do their best. And the house is a mess. And they're falling to this. It's like, you have something you can reach for right now and someone to meet you at 3:00 in the morning in the middle of that mess.
And it's specific to what you're going through.
Yeah.
Like, cause I've tried like calling and being like, okay, what, when you're in that moment of like desperation or anxiety or whatever it is you're facing, you're kind of, some of us are, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I'm like, what do I listen to? What do I play? I know there's podcasts, I know there's music, I know there's playlists, but like, what do I need right now? And sometimes I find myself like kind of fumbling through Spotify, trying to figure out, like, what do I really need to listen to? But that sounds so targeted to like, what exactly do you need to hear right now? What exercises, what truth do you need to know? And that's so cool. I just love that you've made that available. And you've also generously provided our listeners a code that they can try a free month for free, just to try it out using code pain-free-birth. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So if you go to outlastaudio.com, go over to the subscribe button and enter the promo code pain-free-birth. It'll give you a month free just to try it out. And we are a mission-minded company. Like, our mission is just to meet people in the middle of their moment of need. That's where this all stemmed from, me having experienced this in college, some really, really dark times and not having a place to turn. And so our goal and our desire and our heart is just to meet you in the middle of those moments, and that you know that you never have to walk through those things alone and without support.
That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Lauren, for sharing your story. Oh my gosh, I know this has inspired so many women, and for being so generous with the offer. And would you just pray for our listeners, any mom out there? I just know there's so many moms who probably have heard this and they're like, oh my gosh, I want that experience. I don't know how I can get there. I don't know how to overcome these fears, or wherever they may feel stuck. I would just love you to offer a simple prayer for them.
Yes, Lord, thank you so much. Thank you for this time with Karen. Thank you that we just get to be together and have this conversation, Lord. What she's doing and what she has made and what she's providing is changing lives, not just the lives of the mother and the father, but the life of the baby that's coming into this world, that you're teaching these women how to bring their babies into the world in glory. Like, there's nothing more beautiful than that, Lord. I'm thankful for who she is. I'm thankful for what she's been able to provide. Lord, I pray for these mothers, the mother right now that found out that she's pregnant and is so terrified that ultimately this baby has to come out. Lord, I pray that you just wrap her mind in the things of you, that you just wrap her mind in the peace that you can bring. Lord, I pray that as she's walking through these next few months, or the mothers that are beginning to approach what this is going to look like, Lord, I pray that you just wrap their mind in total comfort, that you have this under control, that this is all part of your plan, that you're not up there panicking and they should not be down here panicking, Lord, that you've orchestrated every step of what their birth is going to look like, and they don't have to change or do anything except surrender to you, surrender to the plan that is going to come, Lord. We're so grateful for who you are. We're grateful for the power that you have and the glory that we get to live in. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Lauren. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. We'll see you guys next week.